We have to understand that God does not save us to continue in sin. God has given us the privilege of sonship or daughtership, and it carries with it the privilege of service in the vineyard of the Lord. If I am a child of God, if I am a part of the family, now I got the privilege to work in the vineyard. Amen. Now think about that a minute, folks. If your neighbor has a patch of vegetables that he grew for his family, if you went stepping out there snipping on his okra and taking his squash, chances are there'll be some consequences and repercussions. Amen? I'm quite sure Deacon Gully would not want anybody walking through his garden unless he gave them permission to do so. However, I'm quite sure that when his children come over, that they don't have to get permission, that they don't have to come knock on the door. They can just go to the garden and just say, oh, by the way, Daddy, I picked a couple of squash off your squash line. Oh, they're looking real good. Why? Because they are his children. They have the privilege. See, when I'm home during the week and Kyra slips her key in the door and goes to the refrigerator and makes a meal, if anybody else did that, we'd have problems. But she's my child. She has the privilege of being able to go fix her something to eat. You, my brothers and sisters, have the privilege to work in God's vineyard. And I know some of y'all saying, well, it was a privilege to go to work. I don't understand. See, work is a good thing. Ask somebody who ain't got a job. They'll tell you work is good. You may not have a job that you want, but thank God you got a job. That's just how God chose to feed you in this season. Don't mean you're supposed to stay there. But why is it a privilege to work? It is a privilege to work because at the end of the day, you can sit down and say, you know, my life has purpose. That because I did something, things going to be a little bit better. Because I did something. See, the big problem is we got a bunch of folk walking around here who have no purpose. They just going through the motions. And I'm sorry, folk, as much as I like them, you don't find purpose in the automobile unless you're the technician and repair. You don't find purpose in a big house. That's just a place to live. You don't find purpose in custom-made clothes. That's just covering your body. But purpose is at the end of the day when I sit down and when I go over the events of the day, if I can look back and say, I've touched somebody, I've helped somebody, because I'm here, somebody's life is a little bit better. As the song says, if I can help somebody as I pass along this way, then my living shall not be in vain. It's a privilege to work in God's vineyard because, you know, there is a payday. Now, I know folks say, well, you know, you working for daddy, you don't necessarily get paid. Well, see, you don't get paid right then. See, my father worked on automobiles. He worked at the post office at night and worked on cars during the day. My brother, I love him to death. He hated to get his hands dirty. He did not want to work on them cars. He would go out and get a job rather than stay there and work on them cars and deal with my father. Me, on the other hand, I stuck up under the cars. Yeah. From the time I was 4 or 5 years old, I was up under automobiles. Mama was getting grease out of my clothes at an early age. I loved working on those automobiles. Didn't make a lot of money on the front end. But as the years went by, as I learned how to do stuff, I had my own little hustle. I had folk coming to me. I was doing tune-ups and brake jobs. When all my classmates didn't have money, I had money. I kept my mouth shut because I wasn't sharing it, but I had a little money. The blessing was, on the front end, didn't look like it was going to be worth it. But now that I look back, when my cars don't work, and I'm stranded on the side of the road, I can reach up under the hood and do a little something till I can get off the road. And, you know, I realize now that I can maintain my automobiles because of what my daddy gave me. It didn't pay off on the front end, but it's paying off now. Don't you know that when you work for the Lord, that your work is not in vain? There may be folk who looking at you like you crazy. Every time you see them, there they go. I wish they go somewhere and sit down. They may be talking about you. They may not invite you to the barbecues. They don't call you out to the parties. Girls might look at you and go, you know, he go to church and all of that. But don't you know if you hold on for a little while, that serving the Lord will pay off? Don't you know that when you work for the Father, that one day there's going to be a payday? You may not get paid right now. You may not get paid what you think you worth, but all the time will come when you'll stand before him and you got to give an account of your works. Guess what? Everybody else going to have to give an account of their works. And when you stand there before the throne, when they play that videotape, this is your life, when you didn't think nobody was looking, when they go through and look at all that you've done, did you have any direction? Did you have any purpose? Did you help somebody? Did you bless somebody? Did you give somebody an encouraging word? Did you help somebody when they were down and out? If you work for the Lord, you'll hear him say, well done.